Yeah,
I
he has
believe.
played one e4, which is something that he's been doing his entire career. So
Mhm.
none so far, not even
Yeah.
an attempt at Berlin. Yakhound says Wesley played Berlin. Has he? Against,
Mhm.
or maybe there
Uh,
was a Berlin somewhere. Yeah.
just to remind ourselves which line that was, but
So today
mm,
seems like a very, very solid round in general. We have a lot of lines chosen by black, which have a very stable reputation and not a particular reputation for fireworks. Two Petrovs, and anti-Berlin. Honestly, I depending on how this goes from here, but you get the feeling you know how this goes from here.
yeah,
Yeah, I feel like
we need to
this
quickly
is
sell in.
yeah, this is. I think he firmly believes he has something here. I don't think he does this just because he is bored of all the mainline theory in Petrov. I think these lines uh, are, to a degree, exactly what he likes about chess. These kinds of, queenless middle games where there are a lot of finesse perhaps required in some cases, and you do have to be precise. You do have to understand exactly what you're aiming for.
We have to work out how we got here because it's a seemingly random kind of
Yeah.
selection of moves. There must be some
So yeah,
logic.
he played c6. Magnus went with f3, knight f6, and d4, which is something that you generally, I think, want in these types of positions. F3 is a very useful move, very much limiting the squares with knight on f6. And then we go on g4, and then either c3 or, as we will see in the game, maybe even c2, c4. Richard goes h5 here, which, having played bishop f5, I think is a logical move because I think white will actually very happily play g4 and h4 if the bishop is left there.
Yeah.
And this plan is unchallenged. So h5 is useful just to make sure it survives on this diagonal. Knight c3, knight a6, king f2. And Richard kind of played himself into a situation where if you take on e2, I think I would make an argument that this is now slightly worse for black
Mm.
because we've gotten c4, d4 against c6, d6 instead of a very symmetrical c3, d4 against c6, d5. H5 is useful, but also if you imagine some position like this, it also gives white a very decent square on g5 to aim the bishop at. And your pieces just make sort of less sense than white's pieces do, which is why
Yeah.
he played knight b4, I guess, just to keep the tension and also create the threat of knight c2. And other queens have stayed on.
Yeah. No more standoff. Mexicans can't standoff between the queens.
Mm,
But whose king is going to be safer? I'm assuming at this point that black's going to castle queenside. I don't really see
looks
anywhere
like
else
it,
he's
yeah.
going to house the king. So
I don't like this for black very much. I think you have to play this. If this is to work out for Richie, his next few moves need to be very, very precise.
bishop takes
I like
g5. I
this.
might have some tactics along the
Yeah, no,
lines of
bishop
knight
g5, bishop
g4.
g5 pretty much never works, I think.
Yeah.
This is a way to lose. Long castles in the meantime on the board, unsurprisingly. So rook e8, yeah, and you're threatening knight e3. Bishop g5, as we've established, is not great. So the way to play here would be a kind of a really awkward move like queen d2, but then g4, bishop
Bishop
h6 starts
h6.
coming
Yeah.
in. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
this
it's
is
these
maybe
kinds of questions that he has to solve, and he might just be in time.
this one will not be a recurring segment of force David to name a computer line because I think this one is difficult. And will not like my asking the question will not be enough of a help.
Okay.
But for a second there on my screen, the best line black had here apparently was d5, and very
Uh-huh.
specifically d5. Everything else white is like significantly better.
Oh, wow. Okay,
c5,
that's not obvious. That's,
c5, and then bishop d3, and knight e4 check. I honestly still
yeah.
still don't know why this works. I guess the point is f e4, queen f6 check, and you don't have good squares. The danger is, and
Mhm.
Richard in the meantime has played d5, so
Wow.
potentially
Okay.
very exciting stuff coming up.
Yeah. If you told me to look for a computer move, I would have thought, oh, it's going to be something weird like a5 or.
Mm. No,
But
I think like you would once again name it in 1 second if I stopped here and ask you to make a
yeah,
move.
yeah.
But that's a
Here
bit
it's
that's a
findable,
bit
but
yeah. Like asking you to get there from here, I think, is a bit
yeah.
unfair.
And d5 makes a lot of sense, but it makes sense to play concretely. Otherwise, you've just given white
Mm-hmm.
the clamp with c5, bishop f4 coming. So
Yeah.
it's
So and
very
yeah, this is the point
dynamic.
exactly that if once again if you suddenly switch back to the sort of sedate compliant mode, some position like this could just be borderline unplayable. Rook h1 coming in, and then you just get mated after before b5 comes in.
Yeah.
So if you play d5, you have to do it with a very concrete plan in mind. Otherwise, c5 is just going to be crushingly strong.
But this does look very playable for black after knight takes d3 in that specific position.
Yeah. Takes because after de, if you go fe, once again, you'll...
F6.
I mean, this just kind of loses, right? Because everything collapses. Bishop takes c5 also a threat.
Yeah.
Richard, where c5, yeah, we thought there was really no other choice, so we were expecting for this to happen. And now bishop d3, knight e4 does feel like it's a very, very critical attempt, which we don't know exactly how to evaluate as far as I'm concerned. Two players who are definitely not having a particularly glorious tournament so far, and would very much, both of them, I think, like a win. And I think currently, I think Magnus has a much better chance of getting that win. We left it here, and as expected, Richard did land on an idea of knight e4 check, but it looks like he maybe did not use the absolute best sequence. He played knight takes d3. I think we like bishop takes d3 slightly better, and also the engine likes bishop takes d3 slightly better. Bishop takes, knight e4 check, fe, de, bishop e2, queen f6. We actually had it on the screen before going on break.
Yeah.
And the game continues exactly as we expected it would continue from here.
Wow.
Magnus played bishop e3, which, like, what else do you even play in this position?
It looks so natural.
Yeah, and Richard played bishop takes c5. And also, what else do you play in this position? But as a matter of fact, as I understand this position, a lot revolves specifically around the idea of rook f1, king g1.
Okay.
And white really should have started with rook f1 here. And if rook takes d4, you go queen e1, bishop takes e5, bishop e3. And this is the setup you want, but you want it, like, the more crucial part of this setup is getting rook f1, king g1, rather than playing bishop e3. And white is supposedly better in this position, which I think you can very easily believe, because I will play king g1, I will play queen g3, things start coming out. I think it's not difficult to imagine white being better here. The trickier part, I think, is why bishop e3, bishop takes e5 is not the best reply. Starting with bishop e6 check here was, I think, preferable to what Richard has done. And let's say after king takes g1, you play bishop takes c5 here, I guess with the intention of doing this, which is quite beautiful in its own way. Really did not believe in his prospects of holding some kind of a technical position, so he went for a gamble. He played queen h4 check, king g1, bishop d6, which more or less forces white to play rook takes f5, but I don't think white is very worried about that. The king will go to f1, and then, yeah, I just don't know how we're supposed to give mate to it. I guess he wants queen h2, king f1, king queen h1, bishop g1, bishop h2. But then you kind of resign against king f2, right?
Yeah, you're running out of pieces, running out of checks.
Yeah.
I don't see it. Does he want something with, I was going to say maybe instead of bishop h2 on the last move, something with g6, just to annoy the white rook, hoping for rook takes f7, rook f8 at least. Yeah,
we're definitely not opening the f-file for black voluntarily, I don't think, but let's just go rook f6 for now.
Yeah, he should have plenty of squares.
Yeah.
And if I
bishop h2 always met by king f2.
Yeah.
h4, h3 is never, like, it's just giving white additional squares for pieces. And no, this just honestly just looks like you're...
I don't see it.
You're very, very far behind.
Bishop e5, you just take on e5 and
say, I'm very happy giving up some material. Yeah. We're two pieces up, and we just need to avoid some checks, which don't really appear lethal at all.
Yeah, it feels like he wanted to go down in flames. He realized that maybe he'd made a rash decision already, and or maybe an accurate decision. It'll be interesting to see what he says about kind of going into that other line where he was just a pawn down with a very stable position, rather than this piece sacrifice, which turned into two pieces. And
yeah, I mean, this is not very enjoyable, but it's definitely playable for black. Let's say we go bishop e7 and king g1, rook h e8, and
yeah, it might be a loss very soon. I don't see him playing on too much unless he can find something in the next 2 or 3 moves. And bishop g1. Okay, Magnus is thinking of king f2. I guess the fact that he's paused. But king...
I don't think he's not at the board somehow. He is. No, I mean, he is. What are we missing here? Like, why would that be?
Oh, you mean Magnus thinking about king f2? Or
no, king f2 is just a perpetual, right?
Yeah, exactly.
King f2, queen h4, we have to go back. Like, there is no way we're doing that.
So bishop g1. Yeah, I don't see what we're missing. Feels like Magnus just checking his lines.
Mm.
G6, rook f6.
Yeah, weirdly, after rook f6, bishop h2, once again, I've
king f2.
There's for some reason this is different. I guess e3 check is stronger for some. Ah, whoa. Well,
Oh,
sorry,
the rook hangs.
sorry. Yeah,
Whoops.
the rook hangs. The rook hangs.
Okay, so
yeah, and
be...
it was also pointed out to us in chat.
Okay,
but
we
rook
were bound to
f7,
blunder.
rook f7 still wins.
And then maybe
Rook
just hold the
f7
rook
still
with
wins, and
bishop
then
c4
bishop
or
c4,
queen.
and
Bishop
we're
c4
still completely fine. Yeah.
Queen b3 will hold the bishop on f7.
Yeah. Eventually, the bishop on f7 does get lost, but in the meantime, white just stabilizes very, very comfortably. Like bishop h2, we go king f2, takes, rook f8, queen b3, and black eventually attacks it in such a way that it gets picked up, but we will have just a very healthy extra pawn, extra knight on c3 in these types of positions. A bit of time on rook takes f7, but not too long. I think this was the explanation for the pause before bishop g1. He realized g6 existed, so he spent some time here calculating it, but now he is blitzing stuff out. This is the current position, which we assume is just winning for him.
Should we try and see how Rapport can even fight on? Otherwise, we might see a quick result.
No, I think the line I showed is the best.
We didn't
has.
See how to pick up that white piece to at least get
you
one
go
of those
bishop
pieces
h2.
back.
You take on f7. You go rook f8, queen b3. You take. You play queen h4 check, and then you play queen f. No, but that doesn't quite.
Say
work,
I play
right?
king e2 here.
Yeah, because you always have queen e6 check.
Maybe you give
queen g4 check. Yeah. And then queen f4 check, and then queen takes f7 or something. But and I have to read something out because so rook takes f7 played. I assume rook e1 is the best. Knight e2 also looks fine, but why
queen
not
e6
try
check
to
maybe as well?
Yeah, why not just try to? Yeah, queen e6 as well. Yeah, just queen e6, queen takes e4. Why not?
Yeah, and if rook e7, then you play rook e1 or
knight e2 or
knight e2.
Yeah, rook e1 looks best actually. Yeah, just pick it up.
Yeah, Magnus, his technique is more than good enough for this one. He plays knight e2 immediately. He's also just very sensible.
Well, I think he just knows he will win this, so he's not really very interested in finessing it past a certain point, which I think is fair enough. It does look very winning. I'm a bit surprised he did not try to win the e4 pawn straight away because both of the moves we're discussing. Yeah, so in that position after knight e2, Richard played queen f5, and Magnus just went queen h3, and Richard not very interested in trying to defend this. It's not really very defendable. And
so
he doesn't really like wasting anybody's time. So I assume after knight e2 you could maybe keep the queens on, but the result still isn't really very much in doubt. Queen f5 is another one of those moves where it feels like you've sort of checked out. You no longer care about whether it takes you 5 minutes or an hour and a half here because you know what the result is.